My fiancée is mad I found her AP in my bed 2 days before wedding and kicked them both out and took the ring back. So, I've told this story on Reddit a few times, but figured this subreddit is the obvious place to get it out of my system. For reference, I'm now 31, but this happened in 2014 when I was 26, and my ex-fiancée was 25. Let's call her Barb. We met in college and dated for 3 years prior to our engagement, with a wedding date booked by the 4th year. Neither of our parents are well off financially, and she was attending grad school, so the financial responsibility fell on me, which totaled $20,000 that was paid in full 4 days prior to the wedding. Leading up to that nightmare of an evening, we had our typical mid-20s relationship issues with bouts of poor communication, excessive drinking on weekends, and an occasional fight over trivial bullcrap. Aside from that, we had a great relationship and spent a ton of time together figuring out post-college life and planning for our future. As I said above, the wedding and reception venue cashed my check 4 days before the wedding, and the contract stated this was non-refundable. Over 120 guests were confirmed, a couple dozen from out of state. Tuxedos and bridesmaid dresses were fitted and paid, and everything was falling into place. Now let's get to the inevitable crapstorm of events that you're all interested in before I keep rambling. The night in question was a Friday evening in our new apartment that we'd moved into a few weeks prior, and we decided to have about a dozen friends over to pregame and head out to the bars in town. Included in this group of friends was my buddy whom I've known since kindergarten. We'll call him Ricky. Barb and I had spent a lot of time with Ricky over the last 3 years, and he was definitely one of her favorite, one of my pals, which is generally awesome when you're so gets along with people in your social circle. The night started at a local hookah lounge that was BYOB, so by the time we left there, a 1/5 of Jameson and 30 rack of Yingling were gone and everyone was buzzing. The next 3 hours were spent between 2 to 3 bars that resulted in the entire group devolving into a drunken, belligerent mess. Once the bars closed, most people went home with the exception of myself, Barb, Ricky, and another couple who came back to our apartment for a nightcap. Once back at our place, the couple only lasted another 20 minutes before calling it and making their way home, so I was left with Barb and friggin' Ricky. Earlier in the night at the hookah bar, I noticed Barb checking her phone more than usual, and simultaneously Ricky checking his phone after she would lock the screen. I almost put 2 and 2 together, but why would I worry about them planning anything shady 2 days before I was supposed to marry this girl? Back at my house, I was fairly sober and noticed all the booze was gone, so I was contemplating picking up a couple of 6-packs from a local spot that stays open until 3 a.m. Barb and Ricky were definitely on the liquor and tanked, but there was no reason to suspect anything sketchy would occur if I ran out for 20 minutes. Once in my car and preparing to exit my apartment complex, I got a sinking feeling in my gut that something wasn't right, and it completely freaked me out. So, I called my best bud and he agreed to be picked up and join me on the beer run and accompany me back to the apartment. After grabbing some Bud Heavies and returning home, we walked up to the sliding glass door that led to my living room that had a sectional to the immediate right. We opened the door, took 2 steps inside the apartment, and my ex-fiancée was completely topless and mounted on Mr. Ricky, ducking tonsil deep down each other's throats. The amazing part of the situation was neither of them appeared to notice that my buddy and I were 10 feet away watching their sloppy, drunken escapades. After 7 to 10 seconds of attempting to comprehend the current situation, I lost it, dropped the booze, threw her backward off Ricky completely topless, and landed 2 hard right hooks to Ricky's eye and cheek while he was still laying on his back with the most terrified look on his face. At one point after he woke up as an elephant man, he actually tried to drunkenly approach me and wrap his arm around my shoulders to apologize. That didn't go well either because I slapped him up, threw him on the ground and held him there for a few minutes with my knee on his temple region, kind of like a dirty cop. Hopefully, that was humiliating enough to encourage Ricky to make better choices when hanging out with someone else's significant other. To put things in perspective, I am 6 feet 220 inches lbs, and have played hockey my entire life. He is 5 feet 6 inches 140 pounds and a runner. Immediately following the asterisk salt with my fist, Ricky started snoring, didn't know this was a thing, and was asleep for at least 5 minutes while I was losing my mind over the situation. Without thinking, I called her parents about 10 times until they woke up and demanded they come to pick up their cheating daughter immediately. Their house was only 5 minutes down the road, so they walked in shortly thereafter while I was laying into Barb about her unforgivable, disgusting decision. Her parents frantically walked into me screaming at Barb, Ricky butted out on the couch, and my buddy mediating the situation. The first thing I told everyone was the wedding was ducking OFF. I demanded the ring back, and said I'd rather lose $20,000 than spend the rest of my life with a cheating damn girl. Her parents spent the next 20 minutes attempting to talk me out of it and occasionally defending Barb's actions, saying things like why can't you forgive her, or isn't it too late to cancel the wedding? Meanwhile, Ricky woke up and the right side of his face had swollen to the size of a grapefruit, and his left eye was completely shut. Kicking him out of the apartment was tough, because he was too drunk to drive, so I called his brother who was 20 minutes away and spent that time laying into Barb, Ricky, and her parents. Surprisingly, I was able to stay level-headed enough to express my thoughts in such an extreme state of rage. The few times I've been this upset in the past, my brain felt like it was scrambled, and I had a hard time condensing and forming my thoughts into logical statements. Not this time. By the time Ricky's brother picked him up and Barb's parents shuttled her home, I had systematically picked apart any objection, opinion, or plea for reconsideration expressed by everyone in the room. It felt really ducking great. I'm not going to pretend the following months were easy and everything worked out in my favor. 2 months later, the pharma company I worked at decided to lay off my entire division. I had racked up thousands in credit card debt to pay for the wedding, unemployment haunted me for 5 months, and I was diagnosed with major depression. Life was ducked up for a few years and I wouldn't wish that on anybody, but now that I'm 31 things have settled down, and I couldn't be happier. Thank you for letting me get this off my chest. We have reached the end of the story. Let's listen to some of the comments by our Reddit listeners. Comment 1. I can't believe the parents tried to defend her, I think that's ridiculous. I hope you found someone better than her. OP reply. Yeah, my buddy that walked in on them with me actually started to get quite defensive when he heard both parents trying to talk me out of it. He jumped in without hesitation and defended me, so that was pretty deep. I found someone about a year later whom I dated for the next 4 years, but she wound up being an emotionally/verbally misusive workaholic who was severely disliked by my friends and family. I bailed on that relationship last June and haven't had any desire to re-enter the dating game the last 10 months. Wasting 8 years with 2 women is an exhausting experience. Happily single I shall remain. Comment 2. Man, I thought this story would go a different way, like you act like nothing happened and reveal it at your wedding ceremony with proof and dump her there. This would have turned her world upside down. What's the status of them now, are they dating? OP reply. Well, she cheated on the next 2 boyfriends immediately following our relationship, 1 a week before they were supposed to move to Cali, we're in PA. I know she's dating someone now, but since she's cheated on the last 5 boyfriends, it's safe to say she's a serial cheater. Sucks for him. Comment 3. I wish there was some way for you to get some of the money from Barb or her family for the wedding. Did you consider reselling the engagement ring? You really never saw any red flags before that Friday night at the hookah bar? Never thought something was off before then? OP reply. I received no compensation from her family to cover any wedding expenses, but they aren't exactly well off, so I wasn't expecting anything at all. The engagement ring was a tough one because although I paid about $1,700 for it a year prior, Barb managed to beat the ever-living crap out of it during that time. The ring looked not really good, and she managed to crack the smaller diamond on the left and scratch up the white gold on the outside. I took it to 4 to 5 different jewelers for an appraisal, and the best offer I received was $100, so I just accepted and used that money to buy tickets to see the Black Dahlia murder in Philly. Worth it. I'm definitely much happier these days. Cognitive behavioral therapy was fantastic for a year in conjunction with Lexapro 20 mg that I still take just in case. Life's circumstances improved drastically as well, so it's been a bumpy ride, but I'm cruising along. The only red flag I saw previously happened about 6 months prior to the wedding, and in hindsight, I should have walked away instead of waiting. We all were out at the bars sitting around a large table drinking pitchers and chatting. I was on the opposite side of the table from Barb and Ricky, who were sitting next to each other, but that was no big deal. I was hanging out with other friends. During the course of the night, I noticed some shady things like secluding themselves from the group conversation, paying me no attention, talking secretively to each other at close range, etc. After the bars closed, I drove Barb back to her parents' house and said goodnight, but felt like something was off all night, so I went to Wawa and got some food and circled back to the apartment complex to play private investigator. I dropped her off around 2:15 a.m., and around 3:05 a.m., I saw the unmistakable 2004 Audi S4 with electric blue paint and black wheels making its way towards her apartment. Ricky parks out front and waits. Meanwhile, I'm about 100 feet away to his left having heart palpitations, and a minute later out walks Barb in a new outfit and happily strolling to his car. That's when I threw it in reverse, switched on my high beams, and floored it directly towards Ricky's driver's side door to announce my presence. Neither of them knew how to react, obviously, but their excuse was that they both just needed someone to talk to and I have nothing to worry about. Well, that didn't go over well. Ricky was told to duck off back to his mom's basement, and I decided to sleep over at Barb's to ensure he didn't show up again. It took a few weeks to reconcile with Ricky, but they both assured me over and over that I had nothing to worry about going forward. Well, apparently I did, mother duckers. My only advice to you: find the strength to speak up if you're feeling uneasy about something your significant other is doing on their end. If you let everything that bothers you slide, and they're the type of crapbird who you suspect of cheating, they'll find ways to take advantage of that lack of accountability. Honestly, you're much better off being thoughtful and direct when communicating with your so than holding back your concerns about questionable behavior. You're worth it, and if you uncover infidelity or something related, you'll be so thankful for confronting your so and taking appropriate action instead of finding out 5 years from now. Crazy wife announces her libido towards other men, so I serve her ASAP, and now she backs up. Title says it all. My wife, Beth, and I are 50. 3 kids, just graduated and started a new job in May. Been married 27 years. 2 kids are married, the daughter is 5 months pregnant with 1 ST grandchild. This past Friday the family celebrated Beth's 50th. She was a stay-at-home mom until about 13 years ago. She started a career and has done great. We are almost equal in pay. We are not rich, still have a mortgage, but life is comfortable. Saturday I was finishing my breakfast. She sits down across from me and says, "I need to tell you something." She pauses. I am like, "Okay, what is it?" Take a deep breath and says, "I am going to start having sex with other men." I just stare, waiting for a smile to crack. None. I ask her to repeat it. She still does not smile. Now I am WTH, does that mean? She goes on to explain that for the last 10 years she has had the pact with herself: the kids will be gone, job is good, our life is good, she wants to do this for herself. Again WTH. We were married in our early 20s, only partners, she feels she missed out. Now that she is 50 she wants this new life. She wants the marriage opened up. I asked if I had any say. Nope. She hoped I would look elsewhere also. She wants to stay married. Now I am going APEC rap. I am yelling, crying, sobbing, all the emotions of betrayal. I asked if I did anything to cause this. Not all of her. I left the house to drive nowhere. I called her best friend from childhood, Claire. She confirmed they had talked about this off and on over the years. They have a group of friends, they do their girls' night out etc. 2 or single, for married. The 2 singles delight the group with their exploits. Claire says they all have a yearning, but Beth is the only one following through. I should point out that I will be talking to Claire's husband. We are good friends. So I have no one to talk to about this. Parents on both sides are alive in their late 70s. I called my brother 1,000 miles away. He was blown away, no advice. I did call a lawyer on Monday. We'll meet next week. In the meantime, he advised not to move out, change locks, or change living arrangements, as that could come back to bite me. He said take lots of notes, and above all, no physical confrontation. That would not be a problem. Sunday, I went in for round 2. I asked if she was going to date these guys, no, just Zex. How were they to meet? A girlfriend was to set her up on sites. I was worried about her safety. Girlfriends would be close by on initial meetups. They would also know where and when the hookup would take place. They would know when and where the hookups take place. I know there are some weird butt posts on Reddit. I need to Google half the things people write with all the acronyms, initials, and just plain different lifestyles. Has anyone got advice or heard of something like this? I took Monday off from work to collect my thoughts, but that didn't work. She is just going about her life unfazed by this. Update. My thought was to have them over to our house this weekend. We live close and get together frequently. I was going to tell them your mother has something to tell you. After then, when they look at me, I say I am not for this, we will divorce. Then I thought IDK might be better one-on-one. What's the best way to break this news? I am worried about my pregnant daughter. Pregnancy has been good so far, no health problems. I think she might go off on her mom. They fought during her teenage years. Should the spouses be there? I would think so. I am sorry my head is not on the right. I did ask her not to bring these strangers to our house. For my safety and security of possessions, as meager as they are still ours. As far as I know, she has not set anything up on the apps yet. Final update. My wife and I, mostly me, finally calmed down a bit to discuss this whole situation. I had been avoiding her all week. We agreed to talk Sunday. We have this thing we have done over the years where we get in the car and drive. We have a very picturesque route that we take. It's not in any travel brochure. We discovered this road way back when you used folding paper maps. So anyways, when we start driving, it is good that no one can stomp out of the room. I have to stay calm while driving. She starts out apologizing for the way she dropped this on me. She had rehearsed what she wanted to say over and over, but it just spilled out of her mouth wrong. She wanted to discuss opening up our marriage for the both of us. She went into her feelings of missing out. She felt now the kids were grown, we could try something new in our lives. She did not think I would explode right off. I generally like to contemplate any big decisions. She thought that's what I would do here. I explained that I do not have the same feelings of missing out. I felt as we got older we would travel a bit together. Take up new hobbies together. We still have many years of work until we retire. I am not focused on living apart. I wanted to enjoy our golden years with her. I told her this was a deal breaker. We took vows in front of God, our friends and family of fidelity. I felt just by suggesting this she broke our trust. We raised our kids to believe in one man, one woman. They, two of them, based their marriage on our example. I told her that I was seeing a lawyer on Tuesday. I was filing for divorce. Even if she decides not to go through with it, we are done. How she reacts during the proceedings will determine how our post-divorce relationship will go. I expect an equal distribution of assets, no support, if that is a something in our state. I told her I will always love her, but cannot live with her as man and wife. We drove for about 3 hours discussing our early life together, the kids and their new lives, and how this will affect them. How to tell them our lives are going forward. There were lots of tears from both. So I went to a lawyer Tuesday. Papers are being drawn up. Will be served ASAP. Try to wrap everything up by fall. I told the kids individually. I explained that we came to a mutual decision. I did not discuss the lifestyle change. They were free to get their mom's perspective. Many said I should go scorched earth. I could not do that. The kids are adults, they will see for themselves. I will always take the high road as it pertains to their mother. I believe we will have a peaceful divorce and life going forward. I do want to thank all of you for insight, support, and advice. I truly did listen. I have to say I was overwhelmed and am sorry I could not respond individually. Thanks again for getting through this. We have reached the end of the story. Let's listen to some of the comments by our Reddit listeners. Comment 1. You handled it better than I would have. I would have asked why her promise to herself is more important for her to keep compared to the vows she took with you in front of God and everyone. I'm sure you know the answer, she's a selfish narcissist. It sucks that you had to see her true colors so late, but at least you found before she wrecked the marriage and snuck around on you. Comment 2. So, just suggesting an open marriage was cause for a divorce? Am I getting that right? Comment 3. You serious, dude? She told him I am going to have sex with other men, and when he asked if he had any say, she said no. Then she proceeded to tell him that she has been planning this with her friends for 10 entire years. There were no suggestions, no throwing around ideas, she just told him what she wanted and didn't care what he had to say about it. Who the hell wouldn't at least consider divorce?